it's going to be you, right? You're standing there, and then, nope, you're out of sync, right? And that's how we're going to do it, right?
Roughly how we're going to do it.
Do you believe it?
How am I supposed to do that?
Make it easy. Now to make it easier, here's what we did. Now listen.
Action and pause. And shake, 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 and pause.
But never.
Oh, that's so much easier.
Action.
We had created an audio cue that would walk him through the sequence where he had to hit point A, point B, C, D, and shake Kennedy's hand and all of that. So on top of all of that, he had to do a performance, too, as Forrest.
Right.
Hank's performance has to be perfectly timed. If he fails to hit each mark precisely, the two men will overlap or appear not to be touching, and the believability of the scene will be compromised.
But can you put it in his, can you get his hand in his hand?
All right.
Action and pause. And shake, 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 and pause.
Take after take is photographed, as Zemeckis and Ralston strive for the perfect performance.
That was a very good one.
Excellent.
Let's try one more. Put a star by that one. That's the best one.
Next, the crew moves to a set representing the Oval Office. Here, Hanks will perform the part of the scene to which Kennedy dialogue will later be added.
Congratulations. How does it feel to be an All-American?
Very good, sir.
A JFK impersonator is brought in to perform with Hanks. The filmmakers plan to digitally graft the double's lips onto the archival shot of Kennedy.
Cut. Good here. Print that one. Check the gate.
Checking the gate.
He was holding his hands when Morty.
With the precision performance complete, the footage will be shipped to Northern California, where the ILM team will weave their web of digital magic.
Film it out, see how it reads there. A lot of strange things happen when it goes to film.
When we return, we'll see how an actor's final performance is completed after his death for the haunting thriller, The Crow.
So this is the original archive footage. Now, in this case, we've already stabilized JFK, so you can see he's kind of
ILM's digital techniques may be new, but filmmakers have been combining historical footage with current film for years. For Woody Allen's 1983 comedy Zelig, the effects team at R. Greenberg Associates used traditional photographic techniques to place Allen in scenes with Babe Ruth and Adolf Hitler. R. Greenberg made an even bigger splash in 1993 with Arnold Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero. One scene features an appearance by screen legend Humphrey Bogart, who died in 1957 when Arnold was just 9 years old.
We found one scene where he was in a courtyard and he just turns around. And I showed that to John McTiernan, the director, and we then staged the scene so that move would work.
The scene Greenberg chose was from Sirocco, a little-known war film in which Bogart plays an American gun runner. Greenberg's team, led by Laurel Click, first digitally extracted Bogart's image from the archival film. They then resized the image so that Bogey would appear in the proper scale. Finally, the team carefully married Bogart to the new footage by softening the edges of his image with an airbrush-like digital painting tool.
We could have colorized him to make him look like he was really part of the scene, but to bring home to the audience the fact that we really were using, in this incredibly convincing way, a dead movie actor, we kept it black and white, which was a creative decision.
While blending new and old footage was an artistic decision for Last Action Hero, in the 1952 Red Scare drama My Son John, director Leo McCarey had no other choice.
What are you going to do, John? Use force and violence on your mother?
Someday, Mother, you'll understand how big our fight is.
I do now. I do now.
No, you don't.
When star Robert Walker died before several of his scenes had been shot, the filmmakers had to become extremely resourceful just to finish the movie. A variety of techniques were used, some as simple as filming a darkly lit double wearing a hat which hid his face. For this scene, a brief shot of Walker from earlier in the film was reused, but the shot was not long enough. Close scrutiny reveals that the film rolls forward in slow motion, freezes, and then rolls in reverse to create a longer shot. But the most difficult problem was creating the film's dramatic climax in which Walker is shot and killed during a car chase. For this scene, the filmmakers used outtakes from Walker's previous film, Strangers on a Train, to set up the chase. These close-ups of Walker are from a scene in the earlier film in which he is crushed beneath a carousel. Fittingly, they were used to create the late Walker's death scene in his final performance.
So you're him, huh? The Avenger.
More recently, producer Edward R. Pressman was faced with a similar problem on his film, The Crow. Although filming was nearly complete, star Brandon Lee had yet to shoot a few key scenes at the time of his tragic on-set death.
When the accident occurred, it was unbearable. And I think the first reaction was, we can't go on. But the performance itself was done, and I felt compelled to finish this work as a legacy to Brandon.
The haunting task of digitally manufacturing Lee's remaining scenes was given to DreamQuest Images, an Oscar-winning effects shop whose credits include The Abyss and Total Recall. For The Crow, one effect sequence involved adding Brandon Lee to a shot of a broken mirror. Digital effects supervisor Tim Landry had to figure out a way to distort the image in the same way as the broken glass would have. First, an unused close-up of Lee was carefully traced or rotoscoped. The isolated image was then extracted from the original shot.
We had another element called a displacement map. I painted this based on the mirror image that they gave us. And what the computer does is it tells it how much to offset a given pixel. So now we've got an image that looks somewhat like it's being reflected in a shattered mirror.
The distorted image of Lee was then combined with a shot of the broken mirror, resulting in a shattering final image. Another difficult shot required the DreamQuest team to extract an image of Lee walking down an alley and have him walk through a doorway instead. As with the previous scene, the first step was to isolate and remove Lee from an unused shot. Since the scene was filmed in a dark, rainy alley with a handheld camera, the image had to be color-corrected and steadied. Lee's final image reflects the warmly lit interior environment.
So, I've been working with a scaling. I'm working about 0.22, both directions.
Other shots involve filming a scene with a body double for Lee, and later mapping the actor's face onto the double's body.
The production company had shot new footage of a body double that had the basic same characteristics as Brandon's body. Obviously the face was different. Then digitally we removed only his face from certain scenes, certain frames, and placed that over the body double. Like so.
The most significant aspect of DreamQuest's work on The Crow is that most people will never notice the effects. They blend seamlessly into the film and help Brandon Lee's final performance hauntingly come to life. Next, effects magicians work their digital wizardry, allowing JFK and LBJ to have a chat with Tom Hanks.
That must be a sight. I'd kind of like to see that.
Good afternoon, ILM.
With principal photography on Forrest Gump now complete, the ILM team members return to their Northern California home. Here, they will complete the Oval Office scene between Tom Hanks and JFK.
We have to remove this woman, whoever she is, in the white dress and replace Tom where she is. And what's got me concerned is as she comes in front of Kennedy, she's blocking so much of him that I don't know how we're going to replace Tom in there without still seeing her.
The effects team must first extract Kennedy from the archival shot. The first step is to rotoscope the president's image in each of the scene's 465 frames. Tom Hanks' image must also be extracted. This process is much easier as the blue screen background isolates his image photographically, eliminating the need for the time-consuming rotoscope process. Next, Hanks and Kennedy must be integrated into a shot of the Oval Office background.
So we've got probably pieces of film taken from years apart, trying to match them all and still make them look like the same moment in history, which never took place.
Ken Ralston works with computer graphics supervisor George Murphy on the daunting task of getting Hanks and Kennedy to shake hands.
My biggest concern is that we need to really paint out the way that thumb sticks up in the air and make the fingers wrap around.
So Kerry's going to paint JFK's thumb over Tom's hand so it looks like they're actually holding each other's hand.
Right, he'll paint it back through so it comes through, and then try to make his fingers wrap back around, morph those.
We had to basically glue their hands together with the use of the computer by manipulating the positions of the arm and the hand positions and painting like JFK's thumb on top of Tom's hands so like they were clasping.
While the handshake is completed successfully, the scene's most difficult shot requires Kennedy to speak dialogue written by a screenwriter instead of a speechwriter.
I believe he said he had to go pee.
Unfortunately, the plan to use the mouth movements of the Kennedy stand-in for this shot proved to be impossible.
The bathroom is there.
We realized it wouldn't work, that it made them look completely different when we took these guys' mouths, even though they were pretty good lookalikes, and put it onto any one of these historical figures. It changed their looks completely.
The effects team determines that the lip-sync shots for the presidents can be achieved only one way, by digitally manipulating their mouths frame by frame.
I think part of it is, once I painted a new lip position, and once we see the inside of his mouth, it'll really help make that real very distinct.
This assignment is given to effects art director Doug Chiang, whose masterful work on Death Becomes Her won him an Academy Award in 1993.
I volunteered to do it because it was kind of a new process, and I like the challenge of trying to do something new, even though there was a high risk of failure. I decided to take some pictures for lip reference so that I can see what each lip position is doing at each vowel and consonant, and then I use them as just visual reference while I'm animating. I have a question for you as far as his teeth. I've introduced a little bit of his teeth in the bottom right in here. I want to see if that's okay with you, or if you think that's a little too much.
That's a great smile.
Using his reference materials, Chiang targets key frames which convey the extreme mouth positions needed to make each sound. He is able to digitally maneuver the lips, cheeks, tongue, and chin with computer-generated handles called splines.
I go through and I determined my keyframes here based on the timing sheet that I did of the soundtrack. So I've broken it down to major syllables, and I've sort of animated these splines accordingly set on these keyframes. Yeah,
By using the digital transformation process known as morphing, Chiang has the computer generate all of the in-between frames.
The nice thing is there's some nice cheek movement, which is really helping the shot. The type of morph that we're doing here is actually a little bit more subtle in that we're changing specific features on a person. We're taking just the one image and slightly altering it, changing the movement of that one image.
Remember, he will be 80 feet tall and 200 feet wide at the big screen.
For the scene to hold up to big screen scrutiny, the mouth morphs must be carefully married with the new and archival footage. The result is an unforgettable fictional moment in history.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pay.
With the Kennedy scene finally complete, along with similar sequences featuring Presidents Johnson and Nixon, the ILM team has successfully placed Tom Hanks in 3 distinct American eras.
Hotel. It's brand new, very modern.
Now you know the secret. Of course, you can't do it, but you know the secret.
These presidential scenes contain just a few of the 120 special effects shots hidden in Forrest Gump. Surprisingly, while the digital dinosaurs in Jurassic Park filled the screen for a mere 6 minutes, Gump's subtler effects are on screen more than 4 times as long. In the end, 150 of ILM's digital artists logged more than 50,000 hours to complete the film.
It was a great experience overall, and I think we expanded the palette that directors can use on films in a lot of ways.
Despite ILM's success at combining new and old footage, some will question the practice, claiming image manipulation techniques could be used less innocently than they were on Forrest Gump.
Really, photography's never been proof of anything. We've all just sort of wanted to accept that with Forrest Gump, I think we've taken it down another step to say, well, unless you know the history of a piece of an image, you don't know if it's real.
In Hollywood, it's what people think is real that counts. And thanks to digital technology, it's increasingly easier for effects artists to fool audiences.
I'm beginning to see it though, Bob. I'm beginning to see the ball.
Whether it's the folks at R. Greenberg bringing back an old friend, the team from Dream Quest creating a posthumous curtain call, or the wizards from ILM rewriting American history, Hollywood's top effects artists are always happy to provide a blast from the past.
I believe he said he had to go pee.